Aloha, friends and neighbors. Rollin Frost here, Kona astrologer. Thank you for inviting me into your living room. We're going to cover the first week in March 2015 in the sky mirror for you right now. And then I got a lot of little tidbits and interesting informations to give you. So, see, first thing off is Saturn is stationing. Brrr, it's going to get cold. It's March 14th. Yeah, it's two sides to old Saturn. Most people, the frown is for the bad Saturn. Take it down, take it down. Delay it, take it away. The good side of the old goat is that he rebuilds things. He rebuilds foundations, you know. Here he is. I was going to draw him real big, but next week he'll be even bigger for you. So there's Saturn, the cross of matter over the crescent of people. Here's the manager, the CEO, the guy in the suit with the checkbook. The terrible management of countries and corporations that puts money before people and their health and safety. Here's a mayor, you know, who put money first, safety and health second. Here's, anyway, get the idea. Okay, I did a chart for you. Here it is. And I'm going to start talking, you know, we have the old Uranus-Pluto square, but interesting thing, Mars and Venus are there together. Mars at 6, Venus at 8 as we speak, degrees of Aries. When Mars and Venus in conjunction lie, young maids, whate'er is asked of you, deny. That's what Ben wrote in his Poor Richard's Almanac. So he didn't like Mars and Venus. Venus could get hurt here. Mars too rough. That'll work in your personal life too, I'll betcha. Anyway, they're both moving up here, and they're going to hit Uranus. And here's Uranus at 15. So Mars won't quite hit it at the end of your next week. Next weekend, not the one you're coming to. But Mars on Uranus could be sudden fires and violence and electrical fires. And, you know, people hurt of a Uranus identity. Here's some homeless guys or crippled guys. Now they could also get very angry, you know, and with the square to you-know-who, Pluto, the policeman, look out. This ain't a good time for policemen to mess with sudden violence on the part of street people or environmentalists or I don't know who. But, wow, it's going to be an active time, huh? Venus is going to go by Uranus first. And you'll see that towards the last half of your next week. And it'll soften up Venus a lot. So you'll see, who's Uranus? Let's see, Uranus would be the newscasters on TV. And you'll see them soften up and even get a little teary-eyed when Venus goes by Uranus. And then when Mars gets close, they all get angry. Anyway, the cops don't like any of it. Pluto's in square. But I'll talk a little bit about another square here, because Saturn's about to stop at 5 degrees of Sagittarius, and it's going to square Neptune at 7 Pisces. It's only 2 degrees off. Now this is something that's going to go on for a while. Saturn's going to come back and square Neptune again and again. In fact, I made a list for you here for your edification. Saturn and Neptune are going to have a battle. Now Saturn squaring Neptune. Saturn is the judge. Neptune, you know, the priest, artist, doctor, is like, you know, I just got kind of irate because I saw this oil company fiasco, this TV commercial, and what did they say? I made a note. We're going to be, the U.S. is going to be #1 in the world in producing gas. We're the #1 gas producer in the world. What they're not telling you is there ain't that much of it. And poof, it's gone. And they're ripping us all off for $1. Sorry. Hate oil companies. Look out, they're not what they seem. Doctors and drugs. There's going to be a lot of those busted and taken to court, and the judge is going to say, stop putting those drugs out on your TV commercial. You know, this could be Neptune. This could be the drug war. This could be very harsh kinds of things coming down on Neptune. Maybe some of those priests you know, that have been pedophiles for a while and gotten away with it will finally be brought to the bar and face the judge. So when does it happen? Well, it's happening in March, the middle of March 2015. It gets very active. And then Saturn comes back and squares Neptune again in November 2015, and comes back again in August 2016, and finishes with an eclipse on September 1st, when there's going to be a month when this thing between, you know, how far can you go in bringing the drug companies to responsibility, or the oil companies, or the church? I don't know. But it's kind of like, you know, if you get a ticket, and here you are in the middle of March and you got a ticket, and you got to go into court. Well, you don't go to court till November. Right, okay. And then you say, okay, not guilty. They set you up for a next court date, August 2016. You got to go in and plead, I'm guilty or not guilty or something. And finally, maybe here's the trial, see, in September 2016. And we'll have Neptune facing the law. Neptune kind of characters, those, whether they're, there's a lot of good Neptunes, don't get me wrong, there's good priests, artists, doctor, musicians, but, you know, the bad ones, the phonies, are tough. You know, the people who are acting all the time. And usually they wind up in some privileged place. So this is going to be tough on those privileged people, you know, that think that they're movie stars or kings or something. And now you know the schedule. So, Neptune, look out. Saturn's watching you. And he's getting really strong. And Mars and Venus, goodness. What do you do for the young gals? You know, deny it. Deny it. You know, probably Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Venus will be on Uranus, and there'll be sudden desires will come up very suddenly and very strong, amplified desires. When Mars gets to Uranus, sudden flare-ups of testosterone and tempers and physical action, and maybe, you know, burns and cuts, you know, which doesn't show up until the beginning of your next week. What's that, around the 11th, 12th, 13th of March? Well, these are major squares, and you're going to feel them. The light thing here is that Mercury is opposing Uranus, or Jupiter, and too much talk. But that, you know, it's not going to be large in the sky mirror. Let's take a look at it day by day. We're going to run the moon around the edge of this planetary pattern, and as things go around here once, they go around your chart once. They go around the Earth once, and they go around your chart once. So anyway, as the moon makes angles to the actors on the stage, these planetary bodies, it kind of generates the mood of the times. We're looking at the details of the script for the play. Yeah, it's starting here on Friday. Kind of a tough day. The middle of the day, this first is the square to the moon, or Mars, and everybody's ticked off and impatient. And then in the middle of that, after you're all impatient and angry, look at that. There is Neptune and the sun. And it's like we all turn into higher heart, priest, artist, doctors for an hour or so. And then after that is Venus. And we all get stuck in giving up and crying and wanting desire and not getting it. So this is tough on Mars and Venus. But in the middle of their trials, Romeo and Juliet having all this trouble, somehow if there's some music and we can all get along, hopefully. Not an easy Friday, not a time to go out on a date, guys. It's a time to stay home and listen to music. Saturday ain't any better, and it starts with that terrible Uranus-Pluto thing, you know, and high winds and feeling of aloneness and power and control issues and police and guns and a little panicky, okay, Saturday morning. Eek, a bug. And slowly working its way back to Friday, you know. A month ago it was here on Sundays, now it's back to Saturdays now. So if you get up Saturday morning and walk in the bathroom and eek, there's a big roach, you know, you gotta weigh easy. Eek, a bug. Small panic. Sunday, it doesn't change too much until you get to the last half of the day and the moon shifts into Leo. Once that happens, the vibes change totally. They start settling down. They get happier. Jupiter's there in Leo. And so everybody starts getting happy. And doggone, Sunday night, there's a trine to Saturn and to Mars. And everybody's got their act together. They chop the wood. The bills are paid. Got money in the bank. We feel secure. All the physical world is taken care of here. Organized sports does just fine. It's late Sunday night. Mars got his act together. And looky there. There's Venus. The Venus trine is Monday morning. The way it looks, young men, is if you're responsible and you keep it down, you got to hold down all that Martian energy and be real gentle, you might get a reward from Venus Monday morning. Stay in bed late. The middle of Monday, the moon goes by Jupiter. There should be optimism and laughter. It trines Uranus in the middle of the day in the afternoon, and Jupiter trining Uranus brings out all the nice things about brotherhood, all the Woodstock, feelings and ambitions. And maybe we can clean this world up and it could be brotherhood with no war. It's possible, It's age of Aquarius now. All the World War II generations dying off. Mercury square. Well, kids aren't real happy Monday night late. And it doesn't help to talk any. But you had a pretty good Monday, didn't you? And Tuesday won't change too much. The moon's still in Leo. You get to Wednesday, the moon shifts into Virgo. Starts to get confusing. You're coming up on the Saturn-Neptune square. It's going to be infamous, the square, because you're going to watch it for a while. Watch what happens in your life. You try to pour a liquid, Neptune's liquid, and it spills. There's problems with it. There's delays. The milk went bad. The cat turned over the bowl. Something happened here. It starts with Saturn, and so everybody's concerned about physical stuff. We're trying to be on time and responsible, but doggone, we got confused. Yeah, confusion. Wow. Hold that thought for us. Hello? Hello? I think so. Here, Michael.
Since you called me. What's the problem?
I don't know, but my tape is on timed pause, so get Lucifer and get quiet on the set.
Hey, you calling me on my phone? Okay.
Okay, here's 30 seconds on your diet. Somebody brought these in the house the other day, corn nuts. I love them. But then I looked at the back, and I realized when I read the ingredients, they say there's salt in here. And we're talking about deceptions. Well, somebody defined salt, S-A-L-T, in a phony way. They phonied it up. It's not salt. Salt for the ages has been sea salt, evaporated seawater. And evaporated seawater has all these minerals. It isn't just... See, this salt they're talking about is simple sodium chloride. And it's a chemical. But it will make you deficient in magnesium and calcium and strontium and, all the list of all the metals and the salts that are in the ocean. All of them are in the sea salt. Now your body, your blood, is got the same composition as the sea salt. It has all these minerals and things in it. Your blood is not made of sodium chloride. No, if you analyze the sweat that comes off your body, it isn't simple sodium and chloride, which is a little cube. If you look under the microscope, a little perfectly formed cube crystal. This stuff is disaster. But it must be cheaper than sea salt. Now, this is something you can do with your own diet. And I don't know how long it'll take, but I'm not even going to talk about the monosodium glutamate is on here. But that's not as serious as the salt. The salt is the subtle Neptune deception we've all grown up with. And it's a disastrous Neptune deception. You know, when you go to a store, just buy stuff that says sea salt. We'll see what happens. All right, I want to report to you some results from a prediction. And first, here's the results. This happened on Thursday when my show is supposed to air. And suddenly, my phone didn't work. And the Wi-Fi didn't work. And none of the communications gear worked. The internet and the phone all just quit. It took me a while to figure it out because you can't contact other people. You don't know that it's happening to them too. Turned out they said a contractor hit a cable and cut the cable. And gosh, I was very curious because this is right in my yard. And then I remembered that 3/4 moon had that prediction in it. Well, since that Thursday, more stuff has happened. We got a small storm, not much, but the chaotic winds caused a lot of damages, and son of a gun, 20,000 phone users and 5,000 internet were out again from Waikoloa to Pahala. The whole cable, west side of the Big Island, fiber optic cable, a break in it. So this is a major outage, and of course that happened on Valentine's Day, February 14th. So you got 3-4 days of this, and so I decided to go back and look at that chart, because when I presented it to you, well, it's a 3/4 moon chart, January 12th. And I didn't see any after effects. But it shook me a little bit because here in Kona, La'aloa, where I live, Uranus was exactly opposing the rising sign. Furthermore, Uranus is in the south node. I need help. And so I said, well, this maybe some wind will blow down some power lines or your cable TV or something. The TV stayed on, but the phone and the internet all went down for the afternoon and part of the evening. And, this is the first thing that happened. Here's Pluto, the bottom of the chart at 13, squaring the rising sign. I mean, here's the Uranus-Pluto square, and it's right smack on the angles in Kona. And what I'm going to point out to you is my prior research showed this. This was January 12th. A month later, and a few days later, is when all this stuff happened. And that prediction came out. Which, when I was really studying all the timing of predictions, a month and a day or something was one of the classics. Sometimes these stretch out, like a full moon or new moon. It can go 3 months before it really pops out for big stuff. But this one was a classic. This one went 1 month and 1 month, 2 days, and it did exactly what it promised to do. We were all worried about our internet and our phone, and so these guys on the radio said, if you need emergency services, Pluto on the 4th, you need police or fire at your home, you can't get it. You got to drive to the police station or the fire station to get help. There's Uranus squaring Pluto. See? Haha. Popped up 1 month after the prediction. So most of this stuff I don't go back and crow about them, but the delayed timing's a big thing. So a lot of this stuff, when I'm working with lunations, they'll pop up a month later. even 3 months later. One went 4 months later, I recall. All right, let's do some prediction. Here's the month of March. When you want to find out which planet is going to make the news, you look for the station. Here in March is a station of Saturn, see? Stationing there at just about 5 degrees of Sagittarius. And when you look at April, the station is Pluto. There's Pluto stopping at 15 degrees and going retrograde, see? So we have 2 planets stationing up ahead of us, and let's look at it more. Who is who anyway? First of all, Uranus, okay? Anytime Pluto acts up here, it's squaring Uranus. Yes, and so because Pluto, who is Pluto? Pluto's an extremist. They're killers. They're, guys in black. ISIS is playing Pluto, okay? In the U.S., Pluto comes up as the police with the guns shooting people. In Europe, Pluto comes up as the terrorists or the bombers or the Islamic extremists shooting people. So Pluto silenced Uranus, or they tried. A square is a block. So Pluto tried to block Uranus. Who is Uranus? Uranus is the freedom-loving, free speech guy. Yeah, in this case, in Denmark, it was the cartoonist who had the audacity to draw a cartoon with the prophet with the body of a dog. And look what happened. Pluto tried to stop Uranus again. This has been going on now for 1.5 years. We've had the same thing. In the U.S., the police killed the homeless guy. There's also powers that be trying to shut up the environmentalists. So, okay. Now, Pluto is stationing in mid-April. Saturn's stationing in mid-March. When they station, that planet acts up. That's the rule, okay? Now, let's take a look at the lunations around these stations. All right, so I've had the computer set me up here, all of the full moons, new moons, first and third quarters from March 5th through June 2nd, And when I start looking through them, I set them up now for Kona. I want to know what's going on here in my backyard. And in my backyard, here's the March 5th full moon has Mars right on the rising sign. Yeah, conjunct the south node. Here's young men hurting. Now these could be fires. This could be a sudden heat wave. I doubt that on the 1st of March, but it's a square to Pluto, and these could be accidents and injuries and things of that nature. For our Kona, West Hawaii area up into Maui, parts of Oahu maybe. Now here's the March 13th, 3/4 moon, and son of a gun, it looks similar to what happened before. Here's Uranus on the rising sign, and 15 degrees 25, 15 degrees 07, very close. It's going to get shaky here, and Mars is there really heating this up. So here's aggressive wind, very aggressive wind, squares Pluto up here. The emergency personnel are being blocked and can't move. So we've knocked out the phones and the internet and stuff again. Yeah, March 13th, okay? So we've got another storm coming into Kona, and it's pretty destructive. Now, in the middle of March, I'm actually looking for Saturn, and I want to know where Saturn comes up in the world, where it's going to be extra cold. Saturn crystallizes. Water turns into ice and snow. And in the U.S., here's Saturn on the descendant, and the line runs up through Los Angeles. Cold in Los Angeles runs up through the northwest up here too. And so here's the cold freezing line. It's going down through the valley in California, Might spoil some crops. Okay, let's see what we can figure out with Pluto here. Now there's the April 4th full moon, and this one, this is another full moon that's going to set off the Uranus-Pluto square, another 15-degree full moon. This is the third really nasty moon. We had one in January, and we had one in on October, November, so they happen every 3 months. And this is the final one that's really going to set off the Pluto extremists to try to block Uranus. Now, in this case, the sun is on Uranus. Everybody wants to be free, yeah? And the full moon, the public is the full moon is saying, eek, too much freedom here, see? And here's Pluto over here, the police and the extremists blocking Uranus. So everybody wants their freedom. Too much freedom, evidently, exaggerated freedom, and here's the bomber, here's the police messing with Uranus again. Okay, where's Pluto now hitting the world? Well, one spot is here in the middle of the ocean, over here, and let's see, in the U.S., Pluto's over here. Let's take a closer look. Okay, here is Pluto on the midheaven, the very top. This is very public acting up. See, and the line runs down through here, down through Chicago again. Uh-oh, police problems, you know, and down through here near New Orleans. Okay, here's Pluto on the descendant. It misses Europe, and it runs down through Africa, down to this hot spot. Here's Uranus on the midheaven, Pluto on the descendant. This looks like AIDS and violence, and you know, this is in a sensitive place in Africa, huh? So we'll see trouble there from Pluto. All right, checking the April 18th new moon, real close to the station. The Pluto line kind of misses the USA and runs up through here and just hits the tip, some Alaska stuff. Another Pluto line runs up through here. Kind of misses, goes up into Siberia. Another Pluto line. Where are you in Europe over here? Okay, there's Pluto on the bottom of the chart. Runs up through here, up into this part of, you know, it could be a volcano or something, okay? Come back next week. Aloha.